Years ago, something happened up there. Something not very nice. People think he's haunted.
It's kind of a fableized revenge story.
It's about how revenge eats itself up.
It's a gothic, black comic opera.
Great as the material is, it's a Tim Burton film now.
It's completely reinvented. There's so many amazing images.
You have horror, but then you also have a lot of bloodletting.
You're gonna jump out of your seat a few times.
The music sounds incredible. This isn't like every other movie. This is truly unique.
May we proceed? It's a beautiful marriage from completely different worlds.
The making of it has been really exciting.
For me, it was certainly new territory. That's what I really enjoyed doing it.
How about a shave? There was this guy who has experienced something very, very dark and traumatic in his life.
Barker, his name was. Benjamin Barker.
The rug was pulled out from under his perfect life, his perfect world. Grave injustice.
May the Lord have mercy on your soul.
Sent to prison.
He had his life taken away from him by the judge. When we meet him, he's pretty much already dead in a certain way.
His arrival back into London is him searching for redemption.
15 years dreaming I might come home to a wife and child.
So it is you, Benjamin Barker.
No, Sweeney Todd now. And he will have his revenge. Where is my wife?
She's gone. And he's got your daughter.
Judge Turpin.
I separated him from his wife and am now trying to marry his daughter.
He's so obsessed by avenging his wife's death. He starts becoming a serial murderer.
Everyone's bad. Everyone.
You're barking mad.
These are desperate times, Mrs. Lovett. And desperate measures are called for.
He teams up with Mrs. Lovett, who bakes the worst pies in London.
She comes up with this fantastic genius idea.
What is that?
Due to their association, our pies get much better.
There's a strong sense of passion, there's a sense of loss, there's a sense of regret. There's just something fascinating about that kind of a character. And what happens when somebody has something very tragic happen to them.
I can guarantee the closest shave you will ever know.
All that blood. Waste not, want not.
You see these razors? I lay them against £5. Thank you, sir.
Johnny Depp plays Sweeney Todd like I think only Johnny Depp can do. He has a different look, a different personality.
The years, no doubt, have changed me.
I've worked with Johnny so many times, and I think this is definitely one of my favorite characters. He's always wanting to do something different, and seeing Johnny play monster in a way is fantastic.
As dark as the story is, it's this brilliant collaboration between Tim and Johnny. They've found just a fascinating place for that character to work.
Why don't you come upstairs? Let me pamper you.
He has got an uncanny ability to make anything cool. He is a hip person, Johnny. Hang on. His choices are always really clever.
Send him up.
It makes my life so much better because it's so much easier to pretend when you completely believe in the person opposite. It's going to take a lot more than ale to wash that taste out. Come with me. Mrs. Lovett, I wanted to be her since I was 11. And I went around apparently in Mrs. Lovett hairdos.
Mrs. Lovett is played by Helena Bonham Carter, and she came in and beautifully made it her own. She's made Mrs. Lovett vulnerable and funny and sweet.
Now, Mr. T, surely one's enough for today.
I knew she was really right for it. It's got to be somebody who has the same quality that he does in a different way.
She brings an honesty, and even though she has this incredible Victorian face and this period look, she's so contemporary, in her comedy particularly, in her timing.
You recognize me from the old days?
Oh, well, that's a different matter then. For a moment there, I thought you lost your marbles.
Together, they're just a deadly combination. I mean that literally.
You know me, sir?
Who in this wide world does not know the great Judge Turpin?
Alan has always been one of my favorite actors. He always finds a different shade to those kinds of characters.
You gandered at my ward, Joanna. You gandered.
He's amazing because he can be unbelievably creepy and then turn his head and be super sweet.
No matter. Come.
These puppy dog eyes.
I have decided to marry my dear Joanna.
Oh, sir, happy news indeed.
But she doesn't seem to be so keen on the idea.
A gentleman knocks before entering a lady's room.
Indeed he does, but I see no lady.
What's great about Alan is that he's able to be bad, but there's a kind of vulnerability about him as well. And you kind of don't really want to know what he's thinking.
Pirelli is played by Sacha Baron Cohen. The guy came in and made us all laugh, won us all over in no time flat.
It was a completely inspired choice.
Ready.
Pirelli's the competing barber in town. He is a big comic character, so that played in, obviously, to Sasha's comic gifts.
And it's just hysterical, his Pirelli. There was a real pure clown there.
You are a paragon of integrity.
Well, try to do my best for my friends and neighbours.
Timothy Spall plays the Beetle, and it's like a kind of right-hand man.
He's made himself indispensable to the judge. He's sort of his bodyguard, his henchman.
Next time, it'll be your pretty little brains all over the pavement.
He really gets that whole period, and he actually helps the sets, he helps everybody else. You know, he's able to become that kind of character.
If I know a growing boy, still room for more pie, eh?
Yes, sir.
It was nice to make the kids, the teenagers. It just gave it an extra power.
My character's called Anthony, and I suddenly see this beautiful girl up in the window, and I immediately fall in love with her, and it's actually Sweeney Todd's daughter.
It's amazing. The first film I'm in is Sweeney Todd, and it's directed by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp. That's just unbelievable.
And what I love about Tim is the way he casts movies, and he always gets an interesting group of people.
Helena Bonham Carter, Alan Rickman, Sacha Baron Cohen. I'd watch this movie just to watch these guys.
There's lots of conflicting stories about the origins of the character. The story of Sweeney Todd is kind of like an urban myth.
Sweeney Todd was adopted by the Penny Dreadfuls in England in the 1850s, little cheap theater shows. And then in the 1970s, a dramatist named Christopher Bond adapted Sweeney Todd. Stephen Sondheim saw that production, and he said, there's a musical here.
And I thought it would really be fun to scare an audience and see if you could do it while people are singing.
I went 3 nights in a row. It just hit me because it was so strong, and it was like the emotion was so strong, and the humor set against the music made it something I really could relate to.
This is his masterpiece, but there were aspects of it that had to be translated to the screen, and he was excited about the possibility of reinventing it.
No matter what we changed in it, I wanted to try to be as true to the spirit of it. That's why I wanted to do it.
Tim has taken it and adapted it to his vision, his version of Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a whole other animal. You up the stakes. Quite a lot.
Come for a shave, have you, lad?
This is the demon barber of Fleet Street. And Tim is the only one that I know of that could take that head on and not be afraid of the blood and do it in a way that absolutely captivates.
And you can see it in the rhythm, the way the camera glides, the way it moves, the choice of angles. It just goes, shh, forgive me, straight for the jugular.
It's the day you didn't.
The film gives you the opportunity, unlike a stage production, to do Sweeney Todd with full blood.
We often felt like we were making an old-fashioned horror movie, going back to the kind of performers that were very expressive. There's the strength of looking at somebody's eyes and feeling something coming from, someplace internal.
Tim always wanted a silent movie star look, so we've both got very, very pale skin and then rather dark, sunken eyes.
He said, sort of silent film star horror movie. And I thought, if I put that together with Tim Burton and a silent movie, I think I know the world we're in. His hair freaked out with a sort of Bride of Frankenstein streak glued into it.
I've got him. With any of Tim's movies, there definitely is a dark edginess to them. For Sweeney Todd, I think Tim's really driven by his love of horror films. This film, it's very evident the horror elements are much stronger than any other movie he's done before.
Sweeney has had a long career on stage, many, many productions all over the world. But when you bring Tim and Johnny to the mix, you have an opportunity to get inside of Sweeney.
It's a Tim Burton, Johnny Depp piece, and you know when you get these two guys together, something rather explosive and unique always happens.
Well, I suppose the face of a barber is not particularly memorable.
The most important thing was to maintain the integrity of the music and decide how to use the songs, what songs to use. The people who know the score will see that it really is about telling the story swiftly, intensely, which it does.
We were determined that every cast member use their own voice.
The question comes, think you can sing?
I've worked with Johnny several times, and obviously this is new, him singing. When he said yes, that was good enough for me.
All right, you, sir. How about a shadow? Sweeney's waiting. I want you, bleeders.
He really sings from the gut. It's very sexy.
Not one man, no, 10 men.
Going in, having a musical background, being able to sing in key and have tempo and feel, it just was a really natural thing for him to do.
He does bring something different to it. And I'd say that about all the actors.
Ooh, Mr. Todd, I'm so happy. I could eat you up, I really could. You know what I'd like to do, Mr. Todd? What a dream, if the business says it's good, where I'd really like to go.
Well, with Helena,
In a year or so.
that's a hard character. That one, musically, is the hardest.
Mrs. Lovett's always on the go. She's out there dishing pies out. She's got to move and sing a lot.
That's what it is, when you get it. Never thought I'd live to see the day. Many think it was a trick for them poor animals. What are dying in the street.
It's very complicated. It's incredibly fast. And she makes a pie at the same time.
Likely all our neighbours' cats had disappeared.
I'm quite good at multitasking, but it's like the Olympics of multitasking.
Times is hard.
In Pirelli's entrance, Sacha Baron Cohen comes out.
I am Adolfo Pirelli, the king of the barbers, the barber of kings. Buongiorno, good day. I blow you a kiss.
He's got an amazing voice, and it's just hysterical.
And I, the so famous Pirelli, I wish to know who has the nerve to say, my elixir is peace. Who says this?
There's a very, very thin membrane between the acting and the singing in this movie.
Sit, sir. Sit.
So there's the seamlessness.
You see, sir, a man infatuated with love, her ardent and eager slave. Because it's in real rooms and real spaces, the move from speaking into singing becomes much more organic. At first, sir, I think a shave.
Alan does a duet with Johnny.
The closest I ever get.
It's just such a surreal experience. There's Johnny and there's Alan Rickman singing.
Sure delights are catching fire from one man to the next.
'Tis true, sir, love can still inspire the blood to pound the heart, leap higher. What more can man require than love, sir?
More than love, sir.
What's there?
Women.
Ah, yes, women.
Pretty women.
On the set while we're doing it, we're singing it, we're belting it out.
Pretty women, sir. Pretty women.
The thing that one remembers is the fact that you're singing. I couldn't have predicted that was going to happen, and can't quite believe that it has.
Unlike all other movies of musicals that I know, this really is an attempt to take the material of the stage musical and completely transform it into a movie. That's the most exciting thing about this.
I will have vengeance.
The process of doing the songs was a lot more fun than I anticipated.
This is Johnny Depp singing. This is Helena Bonham Carter. This is Alan Rickman. Everybody has done a great vocal performance.
To watch everybody do that and do it well, that was quite a thrilling thing for me.
Everybody expects surprises from a Tim Burton film, and it's Sweeney Todd like you've never heard it before, really.